Hey folks, we are back. I'm your host BKP. It's time to Ask the Doc. Dr. William Whaley is traveling with his family, and we hope he is enjoying himself and his time away. Raymond Tidman.
Yeah.
I knew the guy's name.
But you get it on the flashcards.
Flashcard? Dr. Raymond Tidman
or,
is with us.
You could get Biden's cards.
Diane, note to self. Monday, let's get.
Pull all your strings.
Yeah. All right, we probably shouldn't go there.
Okay.
It's time for Ask the Doc. Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Another hot week in North Georgia. Wow.
It is. I did a 10-mile bike ride in 90-degree weather yesterday, so I was...
A 10-mile bike ride in 90-degree weather? Okay.
Not flat.
Not flat? No, not around
Nothing
here.
flat around here.
Okay, so you sent me this question. Interesting.
And we'll do this question, and I have follow-up on it, too.
Well, I figure you got a lot of follow-up. My dad is 62 years old, otherwise healthy. Otherwise healthy. Active male. He notes work is now being his work is now being affected by a new onset marked headache. He's got a headache now. He's getting a headache. So we got a 62 years old guy, basically healthy, feels good. Every once in a while might go on a 10-mile bike ride in 90-degree weather. I mean, I'm just saying, you know. But now his work is being affected. He's got a headache. Okay. Nothing the OTC has helped.
Over the counter.
Over the counter. Okay. Nothing over the counter. So he's rushing in the store, taking something over the counter. He makes an appointment with his insurance company's preferred clinic. They diagnose common tension headache. Okay. The med prescribed gave him no benefit. They did not make any recommendations for follow-up. What should he do? Now hold on before you get into the what he should do. So we have a 62-year-old male, basically healthy, getting up every day, going to work, starting to get headaches, just enough to where it's affecting his afternoon, it's affecting his day, it's starting to affect work. Says, hey, I got to do something about this. So he's running into the drugstore and he's getting the extra strength this, and he's getting maybe it's a migraine this, and he's getting ibuprofens, and he's trying 2 or 3 things over the counter. And he finally says, hey, I've got to go to the doctor. So he goes on his list of preferred clinics in his insurance. Goes there, says, hey, you got a tension headache. But that's
Writes him a prescription.
Writes him a prescription. See you. No follow-up. Not, I want you to go see this doctor. I got a little concern of when you're getting the headaches. I got a little concern of how long they're lasting. I got a little concern on where they're at, right?
Yeah.
But you got a tension headache next, right? Next. Okay, now go ahead. What should I do?
So the family's asking what to do because this first iteration has failed. I try to look at these sometimes from teaching the medical students. Headaches are very common complaints, but this is a different headache. Agree?
Yes.
This man's been healthy. He's not had headaches. He's now having headaches that are affecting his work life, stopping him from doing what he needs to do.
Right. This is what. Yeah.
He's getting over-the-counter medicines. He doesn't take medicines. He's now gone to a stranger in a medical clinic seeking help. So, just from teaching my students' perspective, is don't treat this like a common headache. I don't know if you have that slide of the different causes of the headache. You might put that up for a second.
I actually didn't send that to her.
All right, well,
I'm sorry.
so let's just run through that. There's many causes of headaches. You know, you can have meningitis, you can have bleeds, you can have tumors, you can have a tension headache, You can have hormonal problems. You can have accelerated blood pressure. I mean, there are multi-systems, multi-organs that can be causing headaches.
Right.
So it's not an easy diagnostic workup. And while it might be worthwhile to write something off as a tension headache, which would be the most common headache, that in this situation would not be a proper thing to do, because this is not the time course of a tension headache. People who have tension headaches. They have them all their life. It's something their body does to them. Somebody in this age group that starts having increasing headaches, that's something different. So, you get into questions. You alluded to a couple of them instinctively. When is it happening? Is there anything that's bringing it on? Is there anything that can make it go away? Is there anything that's changed in your life? Are you on any new medicines in your life? Is there any major stresses that have come down on you? Do you have a family history of tumors in the brain? Do you have a family history of endocrine or hormonal problems?
What are you doing before these headaches come on?
What are you doing as they come on?
Right.
Is there any way at all that you can get relief from them when you need to get relief? And if so, what do? So there's just tons of questions that you get into that start narrowing down where to go next. So take someone with new onset later on in life headaches very seriously, because the consequences are draconian.
Take what now?
Take that complaint very seriously, I would say to my students.
Yes, but this is you take it very seriously at 62.
Yeah, well, just because it's later in life and it's increasing. It's a new complaint that's not just coming and going. It hasn't been just coming and going for years, and now he's seeking, well, what can I do for this? What's new or different? This is a new physical complaint that is additive to his life.
Well, let me say this, okay? So I listened to the question, and so when I was a kid, and I mean riding a bicycle, okay, I was getting headaches. I was about 14. I was getting headaches, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't go to my mom and dad and say I'm getting a headache, even to the point of, I was stopping at a store on my bicycle on the way to the park, and coming up with enough money to buy Tylenol.
Yeah.
So finally, one day I can't even stand to hear somebody walk across the floor. Sinus infection. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was getting these headaches, but it turned out to be a sinus infection. Later in life, I can look at the camera and tell you, I know what a blood pressure headache is.
Yeah.
Okay? I can tell you very quickly if I feel like the top of my head's coming off back here, right about here, blood pressure headache, I need to take this serious.
Right.
There's something there.
Right.
Tension, stress headache.
Yeah.
Okay, but I want to say outside of that, I never get a headache.
Right.
I don't get headaches. I mean, I just
And
don't.
so you know what certain basic headaches are for you, but if you got something different and it started coming more often, you would know I need to go see somebody that I know that takes me seriously.
Right. Okay.
Okay. That's the kind of dig on the insurance clinic.
That's what I was getting to. So
Yeah.
what do I do?
Yeah, so you go there and you get somebody with a 3-ring binder and they start figuring out what they can't do. Okay, well, I can't get you an MRI right now, and I can't get a blood test, and I need you to try this and that. And, they've got the cookbook out, and they're like, they're not experienced, and they also don't know what to take seriously. Here's something to take seriously. Somebody comes in and says, I have the worst headache of my life. That's a subarachnoid hemorrhage until proven otherwise.
That's a what?
Subarachnoid hemorrhage. It's a very distinctive bleed on the surface of the brain that can wipe you out. It can turn you into a vegetable. So for a young physician, if somebody comes to you and says, I got the worst headache of my life, well, you get out all the stops, you get all the tests done, you immediately get on that. You don't poo-poo with that. I mean, the headaches can be catastrophic.
Well, if you get a headache, and this is what was the old joke years ago? Take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's a little something there. It's just like, people get a headache and they can take something over the counter. It's just they've been running all day. They're just tired. They're exhausted. They got a headache. They lay back, couple hours with a couple ibuprofens, and they feel better. And the next day it's okay.
Well, this comes to a lot of learning medicine when you're teaching students. A great deal of medicine is knowing what's normal. Okay. So, and there are a lot of normal people who have normal headaches, and you mentioned a couple causes of them. And they're not going to shorten their life. They're going to annoy them. They can be frequently treated, but they're not life-altering headaches. And then there's the headaches that are, scramble your brain, or you have a tumor. I had another really cool case years ago with a wife who brought her husband in and said he's been having headaches and he's singing in the shower. And I'm like, singing in the shower? She goes, that doesn't sound bad. She goes, my husband doesn't sing well and he's never sung in the shower before. Turns out he had a brain tumor. But
I apologize. You're serious.
I'm serious. Okay, that's the case I had. Because you'd say, well, guys sing in the shower. There are guys who do that. Well, you have to ask the wife.
My husband's getting a headache, and he's singing in the shower.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's the problem with that? He gets a headache.
People get headaches, and people sing in the shower.
I
said, but no, my husband doesn't sing in the shower.
And the follow-up on that was a tumor.
It turned out to be a brain tumor. Now, a follow-up on this case. He did not get relief with the prescribed medicine. He did not have a route back into the clinic, didn't have any reason to call them back, didn't give him any reason to call him back, but his headache got worse. He went to an urgent care emergency center and said, I have the worst headache ever. They got an MRI on the spot and told him, you're not going home, you're going to the hospital. And he goes, well, I'll drive right over there. They said, no, you're not driving your car, you're getting in the ambulance and you're going over to the hospital. He had a bleed. So, yeah, his headache got worse and it was missed.
It was missed. Well, you're going into an area where, like, I don't know what we say, because we figure out how to get the best insurance at the best price.
So let's go
and what kind of coverage we're getting.
Yeah. So let's jump on that real quick, because I think this is one of the reoccurring themes that we try to lay out in this program. Know yourself.
Right.
Have a doctor that you trust and an ability to interact and get to them when you need them. And that covers so many things in life, right? Problems are going to arise, and you need resources, and you need people you trust. And you don't need to be stuck looking through the yellow pages. Well, we don't have yellow pages anymore, looking on the internet or asking, worst thing in the world is to ask your insurance company who to go see. Because their answer is, well, how cheap can I get your care to you? Yes. That's just their economics. That's just who they are.
Right.
So, yeah, you don't go ask your insurance company who you should go see, ever. You ask friends, who do you see? Who do you like? And you have those people in your life in advance, so that when something like this comes up, you have that relationship. You know who they are, you know where they are, you know how to get to them. So I think that's one of the big take-homes here is know yourself. That's critical through all of life. Your parents teach you that. Your grandparents teach you that. That's just wisdom. But then have relationships in important parts of your life where you know where to go to get help.
Well, let me say this, okay? We talk with Dr. Whaley every week, and we do an in-depth questions on cancer every week. Now, Dr. Whaley does a very in-depth 2 questions a week studying cancer, and so many over the years working with him and yourself, I've heard, well, there was nothing wrong. I didn't feel bad, and and I went to the oncologist and a couple tests, and they found the spot or whatever. So there's so many things that happen to us unbeknownst to us that are taking place. But are we wired with that pain called there's something wrong pain? Because I've had in my life, I've, if my elbow hurts this afternoon, I take a couple ibuprofens. I'm getting to the age, I'm now 42, and so he didn't even crack a smile, nothing. Anyhow, you just let that go.
I instantly doubled that. So
all right. So,
I know you're not quite 84, but
all right. So I'm getting to the point where my knee hurts a little bit. I take a couple ibuprofens, but I've had times where there's pain that it's something wrong. There's something wrong. Are we wired with that something wrong pain?
Well, I think we are, and I think we're taught to ignore it, particularly us guys.
Interesting.
No, throw some dirt on it. Get up here and get going. Stop your crying. The dads to their kids are pretty tough, and that's just the way we were as Americans. But there is also I think we are hardwired to know danger and know something's not right. And the question is, are we paying attention to ourselves, and do we have people around us that are externally able to give us some feedback? It's like the computer that's going bad and it's not going to be able to tell it's about to crash.
Right.
The person that's losing their memory, truly losing their memory, they're not going to know they're losing their memory, but someone in their life could know that. A daughter, a son, a wife, husband. So I guess the take home here is know yourself.
Diane, I'm getting notes that his mic is very low. So I don't know. Are you able to hear it? I'm sorry to break on that. Are you able to hear it? Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, the bottom line is know yourself and then have the resources around you to check things out with. You may not need to go to the doctor with this or that. You maybe ask your spouse, hey, what do you think? And they say, yeah, that sounds a little serious. But that's a good question you asked about that internal anxiety. I think we talked about it a little bit in the last couple of weeks. The people the caveman who had the hair go up on the back of their neck and turned around and saw the saber-toothed tiger stalking them, he and his relatives survived. The ones that didn't see it, they got taken out. Okay, their genes got wiped out. So those of us that are hardwired to sense danger or sense something's wrong have that for a reason. Now, too often we spend too much of our time overly anxious with external stuff going on that's chaotic, that's giving us all kinds of mixed signals, and then we go to the doctor saying, I'm too anxious, give me something to dumb me down, emotionally dumb me down. They don't say that, but that's what they're saying. They're saying, hey, I don't want to feel this anxious. Well, my first question back to them is, okay, well, what's going on in your life that maybe you should be anxious about? All right, so let's trust ourselves first, and then explore all of that before we start trying to say, okay, well, I just need to make you not anxious. See what I'm saying?
Right.
And there are tons of medicines, and they're used more and more that help you with depression, help you with anxiety, which are a big piece of our culture nowadays. But I think the bigger piece of our culture is that we're not really understanding or knowing ourselves. We're not connected to God and our family in the ways we need to be, and therefore we are really helter-skelter. We're really cut loose and in trouble.
All right, let me ask you this, and moving on from this question here. This morning, moving on, let me ask you this. How many headaches, what is the number? If you're getting like, what is, hard to call it normal, but what is a normal number of headaches a month or a week? Like if I get one, I'll know we deal with allergies. We deal with pollen, we deal with different things that we feel, that we have a headache here or wherever, right?
Right.
So, what are some of the things that, what are some of the best indicators to you that there's something else, or how many a week is okay?
So let's back that up. Let's back that to, I can deal with it on the headache level, but let's back it up to just pain in general. How much of a pain is normal? Well, we have pains. We have old broken bones, or we have a arthritic knee, or a bad back, or all that kind of stuff, and we live with it. How much is normal? When do I need to seek help? Is that a better way of putting it? So my general statement is, you know where it's from, do you have a way of dealing with it, of getting it down to where it's not interrupting your life at that moment? Is it getting worse? Those are the kind of questions to ask. So I don't care how many headaches you have. You could have 3 a day. You know, you take a Tylenol, it goes away, and you're fine. And that's your life. You've always been that way. Then that's your life. But that's your life, and then you turn 55 and you start having blinding headaches and you're throwing up, and you can't focus on anything. Well, that's different. See what I'm saying? So it's the same. It's a headache, but it's changed. And are you able to manage it? Is it new or different? Is something else bringing it on? So yeah, rather than a count, I would put it more in the terms of any pain that your body's signaling to you. Treat it that way.
All right, I want to move to something we started talking last week about, and this past week, the FDA, CDC now says that you can vaccinate a child as early as 6 months.
And by the way, I know sponsors have certain caveats, and what I'm saying is what I'm saying. It's not necessarily what our sponsors may not be saying. Okay, this is my personal physician opinion, and it's based on certain very strong facts. They have gone back now and looked at the CDC data for all age groups since the beginning of the pandemic. Not one child under 5, normal in health, has died from COVID. Not one. So there's no emergency for that age group. Is that clear? 0 deaths, which is an unbelievable number. 0. So there's no emergency. So for the FDA, CDC, and 3-letter organizations to come out and say, we are going to do an emergency use authorization, EUA, and get this vaccine into that age group, is the height of something's wrong here, right? No vaccine is without risk. No vaccine. No medicine is without risk. Every possible treatment can have a side effect. So why would you give a medicine that can have a side effect, particularly knowing the side effects that we're seeing with this vaccine? Myocarditis, sudden death, neurological symptoms, low sperm counts, infertility in women, miscarriages. So you have all that stuff going on, and now you're pushing that vaccine into a population that has 0 deaths. Mothers don't give this vaccine to your baby at all. And I can just be that clear about it. Now, that brings us back to some of the other things that we were hitting on, and I thought about this all week, and I wanted to just sort of encapsulate an image here. Given that we're 2.5 years into this?
Yes.
Think about 2019. You have viruses all over the world, bacteria all over the world, fungi, parasites all over the world. The world's infected. Okay. We went about our lives. You got sick, you went to the doctor and got treated. Right. We now have a virus that for most people is a common cold, for many people is asymptomatic, and for young people is not even an illness. Okay? And the only reason we know how much this virus is really out there is they're running around testing people. You say, okay, well, we tested this many people and we found this many viruses out there. Can you imagine if you were doing that on every known pathogen in the world? If you were running around testing people randomly about how much of this pathogen is around, how neurotic we would be. So why in the world is there an emergency going on now for COVID-19? There's no emergency going on. There are not people dropping dead in the street. There are not hospitals that are overwhelmed with cases. There are known treatments. You call the doctor, have symptoms, get tested, and get treatment within 3 days, and the symptoms are gone. The symptoms are gone within 48 hours. Okay? So there is no emergency anymore. Why is there still an emergency in place? Why? What has changed in our world that we need these three-letter organizations reigning over us, sowing fear, telling everybody to be hyper alert about this one thing? It makes no sense. Okay. We need to, Bill and I said this a year ago, we need to get back to our lives. You need to be with your families. You need to do what you need to do. And you need to educate yourself and understand what's going on in your life. But there's something terribly wrong in the medical profession, in the medical institutions, that this is still being pushed out there. They're still taking doctors' licenses away from them in some states who would say and treat the way I treat. If I was in California, if I was in Maine, I could have my license removed from me for just talking and saying and treating what I do. What is that? So yeah, there's something terribly going on here, and the American public, I think, is is more than tired of it. We need to be kind to each other. There are people who have been scared to death. Before this ever happened, there were germaphobes.
Right, I get that.
Yeah, there are people who are scared of doorknobs, and they're wearing white gloves and they're washing their hands all day long. I mean, that is a known neurosis. Okay, we got more people doing that now than ever. We still got people running around with a mask over a beard. Okay. That's just stupid upon stupid. So, yeah, we need to be kind to those people. We need to help them get off the cliff.
What you said there a minute ago, a child 5 and under, a healthy child.
Yeah.
Now, sadly, there's children that are not healthy. They have issues. We have children's hospitals across this country. We have physicians that are focused on many different illnesses that kids. It's upsetting when an adult gets sick, but it's very sad when a child gets sick. And in fact, I don't even know how a doctor does that. I don't know how they do that on a daily basis. Work in that field, but a healthy child under 5, we have no record of any death due to this virus. I guess my question, strangely to ask it, so why? These are people, what was that coined phrase, above my pay grade? You get to the CDC and you get to the FDA, these people are above my pay grade. They're supposed to have all this data. See, here's what I get. As Americans, we're supposed to be able to trust this.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be able to
People are supposed
trust,
to tell the truth.
Right. We decided years ago in this country that we don't want government overreach, but at the same time, we don't want companies being able to put food in grocery stores that harm us.
Right.
So we said we're okay with a little bit. We're okay with you checking the meat processing. We're okay with you checking the chicken whatever, right?
Right.
We said that as Americans. We're okay with that.
Well, there are two things.
We gave our trust.
There are two things in what you're saying there. There's the inference of competence.
Right.
That we expect competent people to be careful with the protective stuff that's out there. You could say that the baby formula shutdown thing was an act of incompetence. Okay, they knew what to look for and how to look for and how to do all that kind of stuff. The decision-making process involved incompetence. Okay, but I want to get to the other level, the deviant level. Okay, when a physician gives a talk in front of a group of other physicians or an audience in general, they go through a set of what we call disclaimers. I do or do not have any financial interest in this company that I'm going to be talking about or this product I'm going to be talking about. You need to know that up front.
Right.
Okay? Well, we find out now that the scientists that were involved in this vaccine rollout and this whole pandemic planning and all this kind of stuff had significant financial interest in payments coming to them from different entities that they don't, quote, have to disclose. Dr. F made that statement. Well, it's not required that we disclose that.
What do you mean it's not required? Ethically, you're a physician. You're required to be ethical. Yeah, disclose it. We want to know. What was the financial interest here from you and anybody that was involved in these products? What was it?
We should never be at a point where we look at the stock report and say, if
Yeah.
we open
Yeah.
it up to this segment
Yeah.
of the population, our portfolio does X. That should never
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
in the equation, nowhere near the equation.
Nowhere near
So
the
I guess-
equation.
So
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm going back to is where do we get trust back? Because the people want to have, I don't like bureaucracy. I don't like government agencies, but I will say this, I guess I'll use the word accept. I accept a limited amount because I want my medication to be tested enough to where it does what it's supposed to do in healing my or,
Well, you want
or maintaining
the FDA.
my
You want the
diabetes
FDA to
or
do
my
the
heart
job,
rate
to
right?
do the job that it was doing
Right.
before this. Okay, and then you want to know. Sometimes I would tell my patients who would ask me about over-the-counter products. We call those nutraceuticals. I would have to say to them, look, these over-the-counter products are not regulated. By that I mean, unless they're killing somebody, they can say whatever they want to say about it. They can put grass clippings in a capsule and tell you it makes your hair grow. As long as it's not killing you, nobody's paying attention to them. Okay.
They can send
So-
you a pill and say, this one has
Yeah.
25 vegetables and this one has 25 fruits in
Yes.
it. This pill.
This pill
That's
does.
great.
And as long as nobody's dying from it, they can say whatever they want to say because that's in an unregulated part of the world. And I just tell my patients it's unregulated. It's a wild west. Buyer beware. Ask
Yeah,
questions.
but not buyer beware on a vaccine.
Not buyer beware.
Buyer beware
On an FDA approved product. Yeah.
And then to say, mothers, young mothers, okay? I don't want to get in trouble here, but, far be it from me to, stop when I'm
Right.
ahead, right?
Right.
But there's a lot of young mothers that it's their first baby. Like, what do I do? It's a baby. I'm serious. I'm not making light, but it's a baby. So they call mom. Mom, the baby did this, the baby did that.
Right.
The mom thinks that they're supposed to get these children in for all their vaccines. They got to have their shots.
They've had the trust.
Exactly. We got to use this formula. It's tested. It's good. We've got to go and get our children on this date. You got a card that says my kid got this vaccine. You got to have that card to go to school. So much trust. Trust is trust. There's not like when I say so much, it's just trust. It's right.
Right. Well,
Young mothers, and then you tell a young mother or an older mother, whichever you may be, but you tell a mother, hey, now at 6 months you can get this child vaccinated for COVID. Why? To me, that's above my pay grade. It's very upsetting to me. It just is.
It's upsetting to me as a clinician because the institution, this will run vaccinations for all vaccines going forward. As more and more terrible things come out about these vaccines, we will have less use of vaccines by the American public in general. We will do decades of damage to that.
We already had a group before COVID.
Yeah.
We had a group, and I'm not debating
anti-vaxxers, right?
That were anti-vaxxers before COVID.
Yeah. Well,
that will
you can
increase
expect
now.
them. You expect that number of people to increase tenfold, 100-fold.
Right.
I mean, it's going to go up tremendously because of this deceit, because of the things that were hidden. Right. The FDA has a way of vetting a vaccine.
And this vaccine has no generational studies.
Right.
No generational
right.
studies.
And we Bill and I were amazed it came out when it came out, but when it came out it should have been just given to those people who were at the highest risk.
Define China.
Define China.
Define China.
Okay?
We define
Everyone
that
else just
early
leave them
on.
out till we study it correctly. So if you're going to come out with an emergency, you give it to your Fine China, and then you do your due diligence. You do your proper processes on everyone else. Okay.
We
well,
put
they didn't do that.
protocols in for the Fine China. Everybody else move on with your life.
Move on.
All right. Anything else that you want to cover before we get out? I have to stay on schedule today.
It's a good thing to stay on schedule.
I have to.
Yeah.
I have to be somewhere.
No,
It's
I'm
good to have to be
I'm good.
somewhere. You good? No joke? Nothing?
I'm into grandchildren jokes.
I like grandchildren jokes.
Did I say about what did the Pacific Ocean say to
Yes,
the Atlantic
yes.
Ocean? Okay.
Obviously, you're into grandchildren jokes, but you're remembering. You already told the joke's not working.
No, that's not working at all.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Nothing. You're good.
I'm just going to wave.
You got any more 10-mile bike ride?
I might try this again. This was good for me.
Was this something new?
Yeah, I haven't done this for 5 years.
Bike ride?
Yeah, I had to relearn where my brakes were. That's important. Make sure your brakes work before you get on your bicycle.
You know, I'm going to say this. You brought back distant memories. You know, being 42, going all the way back to like 15. We used to, in the summertime as kids, like 14 years old, we used to get up and we would do an all-day bike
I lived
ride.
on my bicycle.
Yeah, we'd do an all-day bike hike.
Yeah.
You know?
I lived on my bicycle.
Yeah.
It was my way of getting around.
It was all day. We first would
Healthy.
we go to the duck pond. We had our stops. We'd ride to the duck pond. Then we ride
Terrorize the ducks.
Right. Then we ride to the matinee in town. We got a list.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know what? You didn't have to chain your bike up either.
We didn't chain our bike up. I'm not saying anything else. I'm leaving it there. I could go on. Hey, folks, Ask the Doc with Dr. Raymond Tidman. Dr. William Whaley will be back next week. But right after these messages, time for the All-Star Political Panel.